Okay, so for YouTube, what's up? My name is Youngin. We're currently streaming on Twitch, and right now we're gonna be watching. We know why the Hornets traded Lamelo Ball. I don't know why the Hornets traded Lamelo Ball, so today we're gonna find out. Let's get right into it.
Something wild must have happened behind the scenes for the Hornets to trade Lamelo Ball. Charlotte was so good last season as the third best team after January 22nd. That is a huge amount of...
See, I feel like now that they got Con Knuple, they just want to build around him more because LaMelo had his time to prove he was a leader enough to take this team two places. But at the end of the day, it's all business. They weren't winning as much as they wanted to be winning, so I feel like they just had to drop him and go with like a different option or something.
Time to be elite with LaMelo as the star. So we know about his car accidents. Silly comments to me. What did he do this time? Well, it turns out we know exactly why they traded LaMelo. It ain't a mystery. But before that, the deal. So Minnesota gets LaMelo Ball and Josh Green for Naz Reid, a 2033 unprotected first.
They got Naz Reid. They got Naz Reid and a lot of picks. That's rebuilding right there.
3 pick swaps in 3 seconds, a haul. But what is Minnesota thinking? Well, they just lost out on Giannis. And the Greek Freak willing to sign an extension in Miami, Boston, or Minnesota. That hurts to lose. But they tried to get Kevin Durant some months before, so they are big game hunting. Because Anthony Edwards needs a co-star. Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert is technically a star because he's made all-star defensive.
I won't get tired of saying this. Rudy is a bum. He's a bum. He sold so hard against Lakers. I low-key, even though I wanted Lakers to win, I still wanted Rudy to get his... I wanted it to go to Game 7, low-key. First round, straight away, Game 7. But I guess not. I guess LeBron James is fucking him for these playoffs. I don't know, man.
Player of the year. But he's not a star like that. Ant has faced a ton of double teams in recent years, and it bothers him in the playoffs. This year, Ant had a steep drop-off in the postseason, to be fair, dealing with an injury, but took a step back after making conference finals. So how mad must he have been when they traded Julius Randle for nothing? Early this week, sent out Julius Randle and the 28th pick for just the 33rd pick. What are they, saving money?
This shit don't make no sense. Maybe they were saving money, but you give a player and a better pick for no player and a worst pick. The fuck?
It turns out this was all part of the plan. Wolves now use that money to bring in Ball. Now, if a defense is doubling Ant, good luck. You're about to get torched by LaMelo, who can drop like 9 threes on any given night. But they give up Naz Reid, who is the heart and soul of this team. But it was between him and Rudy Gobert. And Rudy can be annoying as hell, but he is the main reason they win that Nuggets series.
Yeah.
You just can't replace what Gobert brings. And by the way, height and size hadn't been this important in the West in years. So you now have a defense to fight Victor Wembanyama and the offense to hit him back. But when Sham said the Hornets were shopping...
I think that this duo is gonna be a very good duo. I think they're gonna do something next year. They will for sure, and I think LaMelo will for sure live with Ant. I think he's gonna be great, like friends with Ant most likely.
LaMelo during the draft, it felt so random. But Brian Windhorst says this has been in the background for a while, and the reason has nothing to do with some scandal. He didn't wreck the owner's car with his Hummer. The reason has 5 parts to it, and by the end, you'll understand exactly why they made this move. But we're talking about a lot of pressure to know one sponsor, communicate, build less, person off, grow, and create positive change in your life. Thanks again to BetterHelp. So first thing is, while LaMelo can drop 40 any given night, an anonymous NBA scout told ESPN he doesn't take basketball seriously enough, which might be total BS, but he is polarizing amongst NBA people.
Okay, so my thing is, he does take basketball serious enough, but he doesn't show it because he doesn't have that Kobe mentality, that Michael Jordan mentality, fuck, even the Victor Wembanyama mentality before New York series. Wembanyama mentality before the New York series. New York, go ahead, take the W. Let me forget about that thing. But he's like, he's more of Paul George type of star. He's more of like, you feel me? Like, he's more of a ringless star type of star. He's not one of those big guys that's gonna actually carry the team. What did I just double? Whatever.
Some say he's a genius. Others say he lacks the mentality to lead a champion. One thing you cannot argue is his health. Before this season, Lamelo only played 58% of Charlotte's games since being drafted. That's on par with Anthony Davis or Zion. What is the point of elite talent if you barely ever see it? Well, that all changed this season. Lamelo played 72 games for just the second time in his career. A huge part of why Charlotte was so successful. But the Hornets front office had to weigh. Can he do that again? Can we really depend on him like that? Or is this the time to capitalize on his good health and make a bet against it? Well, you could actually see their lack of confidence in real time. Lamelo only played about 30 minutes per game this year, so they reduced his minutes to manage his health. They don't think it's sustainable, and that's a big risk that the Wolves.
I think that the health in NBA is one of like the worst things, strictly because they play so many games, and once they don't play the games, they work out so hard. So it's like, it's constant pressure, especially on your lower body. Like, even look at the players' toes. My toes are cooked. And imagine, like, I only played basketball for 4 years. Imagine, we've all seen LeBron James stanky ass, badass toes. Bet those shit stank like crazy. But anyways, like, imagine that shit just your toes. Now the whole rest of your legs, like knee problems, all that stuff. So I really think NBA needs to kind of reduce the games throughout the season just to manage health a little better, because at this point there's just too many like Achilles injuries and like ACL injuries.
Are making, by the way. We'll see how it turns out. But a positive is his age, because LaMelo is way younger than most people think.
LaMelo's 24? Holy shit, I thought he's like 27 by now.
Despite being in the league 6 seasons, still just 24 years old. So there's plenty of time to turn the injury pattern around, a la Steph Curry. Third reason they dealt him, though, Khan Knipple. They absolutely don't do this if Khan didn't just break out. He is their franchise player now, which is kind of crazy to think. Way down in the cool factor at the very least. I'm sorry, but look at this dude compared to this dude, okay? No offense. Kids don't want to be Khan Knipple outside of Charlotte. I once saw a kid's birthday party at a playground here in Houston. It was literally wall-to-wall LaMelo poster. A LaMelo-themed party 1,000 miles away from Charlotte. But Khan is way better than predicted. People said he would be a shooter at number 4 in the draft behind Cooper, Dylan Harper, and VJ Edgecombe. And he did break the rookie record for threes. 273 of them.
Yeah.
Led the NBA. First time a rookie has done that. But Khan is so much more than a shooter. He's also a legit secondary playmaker. He can put the ball on the floor and get to the rim. And he is a smart team-first defender. But on top of that, Hornets have...
Yo, chat, if I ever like do a basketball tournament, like a 2v2 or a 3v3 tournament, free to join, would y'all pop out and do the tournament with me? Like, obviously on stream and stuff, but low-key, that would be a fire idea. Has any streamers done that before? Well, I have 0 people in my chat, so that's no help. If you're watching this on YouTube, you should come and watch my streams. I'm gonna set up the schedule soon for y'all to, you feel me, for y'all to know.
Brandon Miller, who's a great piece to build with, and added 2 top 18 draft picks this week. Now they get Naz Reid, who helped shore up a weakness in the front court. But the fourth reason might be the biggest. money. LaMelo's on a max contract, making about $43 million the next 3 years. Now eligible for a 2-year extension worth $119 million. That's 5 more years of Max Melo.
Chat, if I stream long enough, would y'all make those numbers like come to my bank account perhaps, and not Lamelo's? I'll be like Lamelo of streaming type shit. Deal? Yeah, just 100 people just said deal.
Charlotte was not ready for that, especially with the health. Can you imagine not having faith in his body and giving him $60 million a year? Like getting married to Anthony Davis or Zion. In the second apron era, that is death. So they were probably going to approach LaMelo with a pay cut, a la Jalen Brunson. They knew he would say no, so they traded him before the negotiation. Bottom line, if LaMelo was on a team-friendly contract, this would never happen. Final reason, though, is the new front office. Every major decision maker has been in the job for 2 years or less. They want a new vision, and the blueprint is OKC and San Antonio. See, the best teams now are built with the second apron in mind. For example, OKC has an expensive core, right? SGA, J-Dub, and Chet. But every time a role player gets too expensive, they replace him with some rookie contract guy. AJ Mitchell, a perfect example this year. Broke out making pennies. That's why they got Jared McCain. But with this trade, Charlotte now has the second most first-round picks in the NBA. They are perfectly set up to compete with the OKC Spurs blueprint if they continue to add the right talent. So I would say mostly, this was a combination of LaMelo being healthy and the Hornets wanting to capitalize on that. His value may never be this high again, and not wanting to commit max money to him later this summer. But as an added benefit, they get to stack assets like Sam Presti to one day finally make a run at a title. But don't the Timberwolves give you Milwaukee Bucks?
Who do you think is winning the next championship? I believe that it's going to be San Antonio. This year's run was too deep, and I feel like now they got the perfect opportunity to learn their lesson. They finally got the experience they needed. So I feel like next year is back to Spurs in the finals. All the sales are finals, no t-shirts, no vinyls. You feel me? Yeah. Let me know what you think in the comments. Oh my god.
Bucks vibes with Giannis right now around Anthony Edwards. Like, they have this star who is super special. They're like, oh my gosh, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Rarely get guys this good and this exciting and this popular. And they're doing absolutely everything they can to build around him. First, the Rudy Gobert trade, which was like 5 first-round picks, all this stuff, and that like reset the market for trades. And now they're just like every single asset they're throwing at the wall. And LaMelo Ball is risky, right? Like if this totally blows up, don't you feel like this is the end of Anthony Edwards in Minnesota? And I know I'm totally jumping the gun there, and Wolves fans, if there are very many, are probably mad at that. But, you know, that's the pressure that the Timberwolves are feeling. It's just like the pressure that the Bucks are feeling. And it doesn't feel like super smart team building, even though Tim Conley, who's the front office guy for Minnesota, is very respected. It doesn't feel like super smart team building. It kind of feels like panic move team building. Maybe it'll work out. But LaMelo Ball does represent like a huge risk, right? Like, if Charlotte is right and the man only plays like 30 games and he really is this injury-prone dude. And by the way, I threw Steph Curry into the video because I was saying that since he's only 24 years old, he could turn around and we could be like, you know, he's injury-prone at the beginning of his career, and then he kind of figured out how to manage his own body. That's what Steph did, basically, right? But if that doesn't happen, like, this could be the end. They just traded everything else that they had in their war chest, so to speak, for LaMelo Ball. Feels like a huge risk. And early in the video, I said, you know, size has never been more important in the West, and that's true. OKC is clearly loading up with size. The Spurs, obviously, we all know. Victor Wembanyama is creating all of this. Wolves lose to Wemby in the second round. They're already semi-blowing up their team, right? So Wemby is already creating, like, rosters to implode, you know, in his first run in the playoffs, which is pretty crazy.
That's crazy that this was actually the first run in Wemby's playoffs. First playoff run for Wemby, and he got so far.
But you know, even though the Wolves have Rudy Gobert, they lost a lot of size they lost Naz Reid and Julius Randle. That is a ton. They're now kind of a guard-heavy team. And so this kind of reminds you of the Rudy Gobert Jazz days. If you remember when he was on the Jazz, it was like Rudy with very little help, very little defense around him, and he had a lot of guards, right? And that only worked so well. It did work well on the defensive end, but in the playoffs, that really broke down. I didn't silence my phone. We'll see how it works with the Wolves, but it's a huge risk. I also want to say that it is a risk for the Hornets, and it's kind of a sneaky risk. So they got back Naz Reid, one unprotected first in 2033, and then 3 pick swaps. So this is a swap in 28, 29, and 30. And what is a swap? It's a bet that my record's going to be better than your record, and we can swap picks. So if I'm such a great team that I'm like, oh, I picked down near the bottom of the first round because we're so great, I'm like down there 25, 30, I made the conference finals. But you're this lottery team who sucked. Well, guess what? Now I get your lottery pick, right? So the bet is that the Hornets are better than the Timberwolves in 28, 29, and 30. Otherwise, those swaps...
Yeah, that's a crazy risk. If I was the front office, I would not do that. Like, there gotta be better trades to make.
Don't convey. It's just the right to swap the pick. But if there's no... if the swap doesn't apply, then it's nothing. So this might be trading Lamelo Ball for 1 pick and Naz Reid. So that is a huge risk that people aren't really mentioning. So let's think about it. 28, 29, and 30. 2028 is only 2 years from now. Do we think that the Hornets are going to be better than the Wolves 2 years from now? No. Maybe like 10%? No.
If Knoopel goes crazy and if they get a little bit better of a big, and their bench gets deeper, possibly. But T-Wolves are also in a rebuild, so we'll see how that goes.
But no. 29? No. 30? So, if I was smart, I would have looked up Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball's contracts. I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so Anthony Edwards is through 28-29, so the 29 swap, probably not. You still have Anthony Edwards. And then 29-30 is when Ant is gone. So the 29-30, the 2030 swap is probably the only swap that you feel good about. All the other ones are...
2030 is in 4 years, remind you. Just stop and think about this. 2030 is in 4 years. Go on with your day.
Are sketchy, right? So they are selling high on LaMelo, but not that high. This could not be a great, or it could be an amazing package to get back for him. One other thing that I wanted to mention was the Austin Reeves contract. So Austin Reeves get a max 4-year contract from the Lakers. I made a video about this, but I'm not going to put it out at this point because of the LaMelo news. So this is a terrible contract for the Lakers. Absolutely horrible. They were backed into a corner, and Austin Reeves was not going to give them a hometown discount because as we've talked about, Jalen Brunson showed one way to win in the NBA. If your star takes a discount and it helps you build out a deeper team around him in the second apron era. No one wants to be in the second apron because it's expensive and it locks in your team, so it kills team building. The other way to win is to have stars on discounts. So is the discount that on his extension he said, okay, I'll take less, or is the discount he's on his rookie contract, so he's playing for way below his value? Guys on his rookie contract, OKC and the Spurs, that's how they did it. Those are the discounts they took. Knicks took the star discount. By the way, that is rare, okay? Stars don't just take discounts, especially for Austin Reeves. Think about Austin Reeves. He's like, yo, I'm 28 years old. This is my only chance at a big NBA contract. You want me to take a discount now? No, right? And the leverage that he had was twofold. Number one, he's a free agent, meaning if he just left, then how are you going to replace his 23 points per game, 3-point shooting, and unbelievable chemistry with Luka? He and Luka are like best friends at this point, right? How are you going to replace that? You can't. Yeah. And the other thing is that the Detroit Pistons were apparently going to offer him a max contract or figure out a way to get close to that, right? At least beat what the Lakers were offering. And so once the Pistons stepped in, that created leverage because he could say, I'm going over there. So either you pay me or I'm going to leave for nothing. They had no choice but to max him out. He is not the ideal player next to Luka because with both of them on a max contract, you have two guys who are ball dominant, who don't play very good defense, and that's your foundation. So instead of starting the foundation of strength, you're starting a foundation of kind of weakness and saying, how do we cover these weaknesses? The first thing they need to do is to get a center, a defense-first center. And the blueprint was in the Dallas Mavericks from 2023 to 2024. They went from a lottery team to the NBA Finals in 1 year. And this was part of the reason why. And by the way, who did that? Nico Harrison. Huh? He wasn't all bad. And his blueprint was like, first of all, we're going to get these.
He wasn't all bad, but still, you trade Luka Doncic for Max Christie, Anthony Davis, and a couple picks. Then you go ahead and trade Anthony Davis for a couple bum role players. Like, this is basically giving out an all-star, like a superstar, for Max Christie and a couple role players. Like, really?
Defensive bigs that are both like pick and roll partners with Luka and also rim protectors and finish lobs. Drafted Derek Lively, worked out, health kind of sketchy now. And then I always forget Daniel Gafford's name. It never like comes to my mind. And Daniel Gafford, right? And then they had PJ Washington. They made a good trade for. He was a 3-and-D guy on the wings to cover up for Kyrie and Luka. And then they got Derek Jones Jr. on that super team friendly contract. If you guys remember, I think he played for a minimum. Derek Jones Jr., right? And he outperformed that in a big way. So these were like 3 minor miracles that Nico Harrison was able to pull off to be the blueprint to the finals around Luka. And so now Rob Pelinka's got to do that. And Rob Pelinka has all these new assistant general managers, by the way. That's a big like storyline in Lakerland this year, is that the new owner, Mark Walter, is building out the Lakers front office to be more like the Dodgers front office, which is like super deep, and you know there's no salary cap on what you could spend on a front office. So that's what they're doing, and that's what they're doing with the Lakers. So maybe they can pull off these minor miracles that we're talking about. But you know, some people say just get rid of LeBron.
I really want the Lakers to win.
That's another thing. You can't just get rid of LeBron. He's very much like Austin Reeves. You know, they also have Rui, and Rui is one of the best shooting big men in recent years, man. If you go look at Rui, he's like 40% something, and he was very good in the playoffs. LeBron is 23 points a night, all-star, you know. He was obviously the leader in the postseason because of Luka's injury, and he was so good, you know. It's like, LeBron's annoying. Yes, you want to move on from LeBron and his ego, but you can't just how do you replace him, dude? It's like the people want to just replace him and just get rid of him because they're tired of LeBron. It's like, okay, that's fine. What is your backup plan?
Yeah.
You have to have a backup plan. If you're getting rid of LeBron to bring in Giannis, if you're getting rid of LeBron to bring in Jokic, okay. But you don't just get rid of LeBron. If you do that, you're going to regret it like 5 games into the season. So, throw in a little Austin Reeves there at the end. Hopefully you like that. But the NBA draft just went down. And by the way, Minnesota Timberwolves, this is a whole thing I didn't even talk about in this video. Ja Morant. The Timberwolves are like his last hope, right? And so it's sad, right? After the top 4 in the draft, there was a run of guards with these guard-needy teams that we all thought might get Ja Morant. The Nets, the Kings, right? Who else? I'm not sure. But the Timberwolves now are 1 on the board, and now not anymore. They got Lamelo Ball. So what is Ja going to do? That was just one of the questions that we answered after the NBA draft. Check it out.
A little sloppy reaction. I am not too much awake. I partied a little bit too hard last couple of days, and now I'm back streaming. I told myself I will stream every day until the summer ends, because I'm moving to a new city, and I really need the support right now. I really want to build up my Twitch viewership. I really want people to stick with me. So if you kind of like, this is not the max I give all the time. I give a lot better performance. I give a lot better streams. But today is a little bit sloppy. We make music. We play Valorant. We do reacts. We just play all different sort of games. And it's always very fun, especially when people are in the chat. Right now it's nobody. But it's totally okay. It's totally fine. Join up to the next stream. Discord, everything, every social media that you need to know to stay in contact with me is in the description. Drop a follow, drop a like, and I will see you in the next video.